Hey class, welcome to Drafting 1101 CAD Fundamentals. And this week is mainly going to be teaching you about the AutoCAD software, getting started in it, doing a lot of simple things just to get you going with it. So when you install it and open it, now this video is with the 2023 version, so we're in the future shortly we're switching over to the 2025 version, so there'll be some difference in the way things look. I don't know what those are yet because I haven't seen it yet, but when you open, often here on the home page there's a list of recent files that you've been uh, working in. Over here on the side menu you can browse here to open, or you click here, you go to a new template. um, And if you just click new, it usually defaults to the last template that you opened, which can be a good thing, can can be the wrong template. So if we hit the pull down arrow and let's go browse templates, and it goes to the template folder in the AutoCAD install directory. And what we're going to mostly use, if I don't give you a drawing to start with and a template to work in, it's going to be this one here, the ACAD template, which is just basic AutoCAD in imperial format or in inches. If you do one that has ISO, that's in a metric format. Okay, so let's go ahead and open the ACAD template. Okay, now I don't have very many modifications done to my software at this point. There are a few. But when you open it up, the drawings you have open will be in tabs across the top here, okay? The menu is here. You got a menu bar, and then you've got the panels, or the palettes, as they call them, across here. At the very top, you've got uh, the quick access toolbar, which has the big things like new, new, open, save as, and then some save to web and plot. Okay, so you can look across the different tabs here. Most things you do will be on the home tab. Annotate is where we have our text and dimensioning and center lines and things like that. But most everything will be here off of the home tab. Now, let's look at down here in the drawing space. We're doing everything in 2D in this class. So when you have the view cube here and the compass, you should always be looking at the top view. Okay. On the side, you may have this little toolbar right here on the side that you can use if you so like. It's got, zoom and pan and things like that. Like, the pan changes your cursor to a hand. Um, let's go down here to zoom. It's kind of hard to tell without anything drawn, so we'll come back to those things later, okay? um, Here across the bottom, this is known as the command line, because AutoCAD has lots of keyboard commands that you're going to be learning in this course. And anytime you start a command, whether it's with keyboard or with the icons or with the mouse, it will prompt you right down here what to do. Okay, and we call it the command line. It is possible to close it, but then you can, always reopen it. Down here, we've got some tabs. We've got a model tab, and then there are layout tabs, and the layout tabs are what we would call paper space. And this is the paper that your drawing would be printed on. And in the future, in some of the drawings that I'm going to give you, and then you're going to create one, there'll be a title block with a border and information on it. But this is what you would print if you were to print your drawings out. And we call it paper space. Okay, so we'll go back to model. Here, across the bottom down here, um, you've got a lot of tools right down here that we can use. Um, and yours may look a little different. So if you come all the way over here to the right and click on that 3 bars there, it says customization. These are the things that can be turned on and turned off across the bottom of the screen. And you can kind of look at these, change yours if you want to change yours to match this. Because the ones that we use, coordinates is in model space, these first 4 are good. Infer constraints, that's a maybe, but dynamic input, yes. These need to be turned on. And then at least, yeah, those need to be turned on too. So some we use more often than others. Okay, so the coordinate system, AutoCAD works everything based on an X, Y, and a Z coordinate. Okay, X is left to right. Okay, and then the Y is up and down, as you can see here. And wherever your cursor is located at, it shows the coordinates down there in that little box at the back. And of course, wherever the UCS, the coordinate symbol is there, well, it can move based on your screen, but it's normally at like 0, 0, the origin. Okay, there we go. But if I move, if you notice how that happened, if I move my, if I pan away from the origin, the coordinate symbol moves with me. Okay. Um, we'll talk about the model button later. That switches from model space to paper space and back and forth. That's another way of doing it. Okay. But if you're on a layout tab and you click to go to model space, what happens is you activate a viewport. And this is a viewport right here, this heavy line. And if you can imagine, you got your paper that you're going to print on, and you cut out a rectangle in the middle of the paper, and you're looking through it. Well, that's what a viewport does, is you look through the paper back to model space. And normally, if we're in paper space, when we zoom and pan, we're doing the whole paper. But if we activate model space from the layout, now we're zooming and panning and drawing and editing in the model space. Okay. All right. AutoCAD has a grid, and it's kind of hard for you to see it on my screen with the recording with the black background, but you can see kind of a red line coming across here, a green line going up, and then there's a grid in there. It's easy to see here on the on the background. So if I were to turn grid off, it gets totally turned off. Okay. So I like to keep the grid on because it just it gives me something to visualize as I'm drawing and as I'm working. The next button over here is your snap mode, and if we look at these, let's look at the snap settings. And here's where we can make changes to our grid over here. So the grid spacing is a half of an inch, okay, in X and Y direction, with a major line every 5 lines. Okay. If I turn snap on, and my snap settings could stay the same as my grid, or I can change them here. So I'm going to say OK there. what it does is it forces my cursor to snap to the grid when I'm in a command. So I'm going to start the line command. And then as I move my mouse, you see the cursor snaps. It jumps to a grid instead of it being a smooth line coming across. Okay, so that can be helpful to you if everything you're drawing is on those same settings, or if you need to draw certain things that are on that same spacing. Turning snap to grid on can be useful. Most of the time I leave it turned off. Okay, the next one here, dynamic input. I recommend you leave that turned on, because as you see, when you're in a command, you get this little pop-up menu right there next to your cursor. Okay, if I turn off dynamic input, I don't have it now. I just have the command line. Okay, so I recommend you turn that on. The next one here, ortho mode. What ortho mode does, well, let me show you what it without it. Okay, so I'm going to start my line command. And as I'm drawing a line out, you can see it's asking me for the distance, and it's telling me what angle that I am at. Okay. Well, if I turn on ortho mode, now it restricts me to horizontal and vertical. I can't.
sense.